Hello, hello, hello. This is Tando from Cosmic Spark. I'm your spiritual godmother, and I'm back again with another video, and it's an astrology one. I'm so excited for this one. Alrighty, we are now at number 6 in the zodiac, which is Virgo. Virgo is the sign of the maiden or the virgin, depending on what wording you'd like to use. Okay, so what do we know about Virgo? Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which I didn't really know until recently, but apparently some people argue its rulership because they don't think Mercury is accurate enough. I think there is a bit of mystique and mystery about Virgo as a sign for as long as I've learnt about astrology. A lot of astrologers, will say that there's a lot more depth to Virgo. There's a bit of chaos, there's a bit of mystery, a bit of unpredictability. So, ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication and other things, it rules like short distance travel and my mind has gone blank. Oh well. So yes, sixth sign of the zodiac, they are immutable signs. So they are now the second mutable sign thus far that we've touched upon. The first being Gemini and then now being Virgo. Now, mutable energy is that of flexibility. It's that of being able to make changes, but also being able to sustain changes or to work on something long term. Virgo, being an earth sign, really calms down some aspects of that mercurial energy. So while Virgos are very chatty, I don't think they're as good at being quick about how they utilize the information that they access in the ways a Gemini would, because they're an earth sign. They can kind of quickly cycle through the information and then get it out, make use of it in some way in their environments. Virgo will do the same thing, but because it's an earth sign, there's like a much steadier pace when it comes to how they do things and how they utilize information. The information that they're dipping into it with a lot more depth. So Gemini is just accessing general bits of information, wanting to just get like a general overview so that they have a general understanding of their environment. Whereas Virgo is like, oh, this is interesting. Let me understand the ins and outs of it. Like, some of my favorite astrologers are Virgos because they are so anal retentive and so detail oriented that when they're studying the craft, they will get so deep and so analytical into whatever it is that they're learning. Give me 1 second. Yes, so my favorite astrologers are Virgos because of how detail oriented they are. So when you learn something from a Virgo, you're learning from someone who really enjoys learning, who really enjoyed something enough to research it and to do it justice. Virgo isn't like, oh, I like this thing, let me just like haphazardly cursory learn the information. It's like, I like this thing, let me understand the ins and outs of it so that I can better understand it, better justify why I like it. There's just a lot more depth and pragmatism that comes from that earthy energy. Alrighty, so that's like the general background. It is also the third sign of the second quadrant, and it's sort of starting to hail and inching to that middle of that zodiacal wheel. And so I like to think of Virgo as a middle child energy. I don't know if that's just me. You can think of them as the maiden, of course, but yeah, I feel like they exhibit a lot of middle child energy. What do I love about Virgo? So obviously how analytical they are. They are so analytical. You can't get a lot of things past them. I do think it is easier if you are dating, especially the Virgo woman, especially if you're dating, because the way that Virgo women can really get entranced by men needs to be studied. But in general, they're very astute in their understanding of their environments, in their scrutinizing of their environments, their scrutinizing of people. They really have an earthy level intuition. Their sister sign being Pisces, and that is a very psychic sign that's like an evidently psychic sign. But I think Virgos are also very psychic. They're also very intuitive. It's the fact that Virgo rules the stomach. Virgo rules, I believe, the liver, if that's what produces bile in the body. And so there's like, to me, that stomach connection gives them a lot of intuition, because I think there's a very, very strong link between intuition and that area of the body. I know for sure that my stomach or my womb, that general area, can tell me a lot, can hold a lot of stress, can be where I feel the excitement or the anxiety or whatever. Like when I'm thinking about body scanning, of course, I can scan every aspect of my body, but I feel like what can give you a lot of information is that stomach region. And so they are very psychic in their own earthy way, just like all earth signs are psychic, but in like a very earthy way. It's more just, of course, it depends on everyone's placements, but I don't think of Virgos as being like the I had a vision kind of person, but like being able to utilize that intellect, that earthy intellect, to just make connections and realize when there's a hole in the story, and being able to just like make connections. I always think of like that like detective board with like lots of pictures and then pins and then red tape, like to connect the dots. That's a little bit like of Virgo energy. I love Virgo because it is very sassy, very witty, and very cutting. Now, why would I like that? I actually have a Virgo Mercury. Now, because Virgo lands in my 12th house, I do also have issues with Virgos in my life, and maybe like understanding them and really understanding the kind of dynamic that we have, and like being comfortable with that. But because I have a Virgo Mercury, I do believe I enjoy talking to Virgos a lot, because a lot of them have quite varied interests that I'll always have a few topics that fall into their interests, and then where they have interest, they have a lot of information. And so if you're an air sign like me, you love to collect information. I love collecting. I look at myself as like a little scientist going about the world, just collecting bits of data, and like questioning the world and questioning people, and like doing surveys as I go along, and then you know collating the data in my head, and then creating like little graphs and probabilities and all of that sort of stuff. And I feel like, yeah, when you're around a Virgo, you're with someone who's similarly minded intellectually. You're someone who, there's someone who really thinks a lot. They have a lot to say. Virgos can be chatty, and sometimes even to an extent that is a lot for me as an air sign, because it depends what you're chatting about. I think Virgos can really fixate to, I've noticed, like topically, as someone who's had Virgo friends throughout my life, like all the Virgos I can think of that I have been friends with long term or for a season, can get very fixated on certain topics. Some of them it's love, some of them it's fashion, some of them it's one of their hobbies. And there'll be a topic or multitude of topics where when you get them on that topic, it can be really hard to steer them away, especially if they really like to fantasize and really stay in that cerebral, and they really kind of want to work it out with you on the spot while questioning it, while examining it, and then they can just keep going, and it's hard to get them off of that train. Um, Virgo women are so feminine in their expression. I really love how Virgo women present themselves aesthetically a lot of the times. I think sometimes you will find Virgo women, and even in the same person that I'm describing, so I'm going to describe like two essences of Virgo, you'll have some Virgo women that are trying in some instances or situations to hide their sex appeal, or at least not like bring attention to it. But then on the other hand, there'll be times where they fully embrace their sex appeal and fully embrace their femininity, and really adorn their bodies in a way that can really, if you're a more masculine woman, or if you're someone who adores femininity for its feminine principles, then you can really enjoy how Virgo women put themselves together, and the way that they like to give off this like perfect pristine energy. If you're someone, like for example, being a Libra, I'm very focused on harmony and beauty, and so it sounds really funny to say this, but like sometimes how people put themselves together, how an environment is put together, can really enhance or irritate me, and irk me. Like I can get away from an interaction and all I focused on was how the presentation of the area was, or the person was, because it's really dysregulated me. And so now the whole time we were talking, I was just thinking, like, why is your tie on like that, and why do you have like food all over it, like you didn't even care that I was coming over, like that kind of energy. And I feel like Virgos are so good at, like largely so good at putting themselves together. And so Virgo women, and the men especially, and the men, and so I can really enjoy as a Libra the aesthetics. They're really pleasing, whatever aesthetic that they go for. um with the men, yeah, the men are most certainly metrosexual. They aren't beating, by allegations, and a lot of the straight Virgo men can definitely be mistaken for being gay just because of their expression. Virgo men cannot help but appear feminine in their expression, no matter how rugged, no matter how big of a beard, how big his muscles are. It is simply in the way that, like, a lot of Virgo men I've been friends with or have known, it's like in just the way that they sit. They'll sit with their legs crossed, hands neatly on top of the knee, surveying everyone and judging them, with their watchful eye. But Virgo men really know how to put themselves together. And so if you're a woman who's like, I'm into a classy man, if you're into that like traditional kind of like suit and tie, and not all Virgo men dress like that, but this is an example. Just like that, I can take him to a cocktail party. I can take him to like the business meetings and the parties that I attend, like that kind of energy. Virgo man is the man for you, because he is someone that you can take hiking and then take to, the corporate party, and he'll be able to blend in. So yes, aesthetics is something that I really enjoy about Virgo men and women. Back to the cutting, because I forgot about that. Yeah, me having a Virgo Mercury means that I can also not deliver myself in the best way. I think what helps for me is that it is my Mercury is also in the 12th house, which I think can soften the blow of my delivery. And then I think being a Libra sun, I'm so hyper aware of how people think I come across, or of like micro expressions as I communicate that tell me which ways of communication rub people up the wrong way. So I can really adjust quite quickly when I meet people and converse with them in a way that is a little bit more easy and less critical. But yes, when I am with my Virgo friends or people, I guess it's a space that I can be a little bit more of my Kenty self. I can be a little bit more cheeky and witty and dry, and even critical, because Virgo is a critical sign. I don't think you can take it away from Virgo being the observer that also has a lot to say and a lot of critiques about how it should be done. And this is not to say that Virgo will do the thing better or even do the thing at all, but they will have opinions about how it should be done. That's 100% Virgo. They will have opinions, whether you think they're entitled to that opinion or not. That's a you problem. That's not a them problem. And it really is largely because of how they're raised. It has to do with that, like, parental connection. A lot of Virgos may have had their mother, especially, or some sort of something to do with their family dynamic, where their bodies and their behaviors were so heavily scrutinized, or maybe they just figured out in their environment growing up that being a goody two shoes, doing everything right on paper would serve them more. And so they kind of emulate that. And so I've found with Virgo women, especially, they definitely project that maiden persona. And that's not even always on purpose. There's a lot of Virgo women that I've met that want to be a little bit more edgy and cutting edge and a little bit more gritty, or even just to be seen as more symbols of like sexuality. And sometimes they find that they're boxed in by the people that they interact with or the people that they're actually attracted to. They're boxed into this image that they project, which they enjoy in some instances, but not when they're trying to secure a mate or secure a lover or whatever it is. And so, but like, yeah, as a Libra, like I enjoy that whole projection of like, we all know that they're not perfect. You have one or two Virgo friends and you realize that they're really good at being anal about like a certain amount of things and having everything be right, everything be ticked off. They can be really, especially about hygiene. Virgos do not play about hygiene. Virgos do not play about um, aesthetics or about decorum and things like that. And so, yeah, if you don't meet that criteria, they can be very cutting. And, but yeah, I found the Virgo women especially want a bit more approval about how they are as like a sexual being. And sometimes it comes out really once you find out that they like someone, once they're in a relationship, you can really see that come out. Virgo is the sign of service. That should have been one of the first things I said. So a Virgo will really cater to you. A Virgo man or a Virgo woman in their highest expression, when they truly like and love you, will cater to you. They will remember the things that you said. They will do the cleaning for you, and they'll just get things in order so that you don't have to worry. They can really want to impress by their ability to do, their ability to serve. They want you to be able. Sometimes I find them very similar to Cancerians, and sometimes I find them very similar to Scorpios. Because I find like Cancerian women really want to cater to you so that you don't feel like you need to go anywhere else. And I think Virgoan women very much share that quality. I don't see it as much in the men. I'm sure they can cater to you, but I think the women definitely have a one up on that. I think Virgo men want to be catered to. I think Virgo men really think and see themselves as the prize. I've seen that in Virgo men that I wanted to potentially date, and then I just realized we're just not compatible. I mean, sometimes I'm like, yeah, but like it's not as simple as sun sign versus sun sign. There's a lot more to it. But I'm yet to find a Virgo man that I'm like, yeah, I can actually see this working out in the long term. Yeah, Virgo men want to be served. They want you to meet certain criteria. They really have the Madonna whore complex. They really want you to appear a certain way, but then they still want to have access to the things that, women that aren't this classy or like this really harsh standard, they want to have access to that. But then they also want you to be all those other things as well. And so when it comes to being with a Virgo man, you have to meet criteria. Like there's just no going around that. You cannot be in his space if you don't meet the criteria. Um, Let me see, is there anything else I can say about Virgo that I love? I think Virgos in general, men and women, can make really great friends, especially if they are not in their lower expressions. They are very focused, so they can be very inspiring in the way that they go about fixing things in their environment. They can be very inspiring in the way that they go after anything that they want. They have staying power. They can really rise the ranks, but they don't have to do it as quickly, as a fire sign or whatever. They're happy to take their time. Virgos also want to be taken care of. Like, don't think that just because they're doing the taking care of, they're doing the servicing or the serving, that they don't want to be served back. and don't think that eventually it won't get to them if they feel like they're being used and you're just taking advantage. And you don't want to upset a Virgo in that way. You don't want them to think that they were being taken advantage of, because then you will experience the wrath of a Virgo. And I think Virgos can be as petty as Scorpio people. So you just kind of want to stay on the right side of them, or just stay out of their way. Because when you get involved with a Virgo, you can get very enmeshed. I think they can definitely want to be enmeshed, more so romantically than in friendships, but also sometimes in friendships. Virgos can sometimes be flattering in that they can emulate the good things about anyone that they're around, friends and lovers alike. So they can really blend and chameleon and also adopt the qualities in a healthy way when they're in their higher expression. Virgos have such a big focus on the body. So a Virgo is like a good friend to go to if they're in their highest expression. If you really want someone to help you make a plan for something like tackling your weight, or loving your body more. If they're in their highest expression, then they've kind of really gone through an entire journey with how they see themselves and in their body. Then they can help you. And Virgos are super helpful. If you work with a Virgo, they will be really down to take some of the load off of you and put it on their shoulders and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's what I can think of at the present moment about what I like about Virgo. I hope you enjoyed some of that and you found it to be useful and validating. Please comment what you thought was accurate to you. Please comment on what you wished I would have talked about. I could do a part 2 of the series at some point in the future. But yeah, if you liked this, wherever you're watching this, please like and follow, subscribe, whatever you want to call it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.